Hey everyone, it's Tattooed Simmer here with a new speed build. I haven't had a speed build on my channel in a really long time. I've been super busy with life recently and I haven't gotten around to recording any of my builds. I've just been really trying to build in my free time and just to relieve stress. That's really what I use building for, is to relieve my stress. But this time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna record this little cottage build and turn it into a speed build and try and get back into uploading videos more frequently for you guys. So this was just a tiny cottage that I decided to build in Windenburg on that 20 by 20 lot that's in the middle of the creek. I'm not sure what the name of it is. I have a constant compulsive need to put ponds on every lot that I build with every home, but this time I was like, no, it's right by the creek, it's right by the river, there wouldn't be a pond there. That would just be silly. So I fought all of my urges to put a pond in this build, and I didn't put a pond there. I just did a little extra landscaping with the trees and the clothesline out back to kind of make it look like the lot was full, even though it's a tiny home. It's a tier 2 tiny home, and I think it ended up being 62 tiles in total. There aren't a whole lot of activities that I put into this house. That isn't the functional clothesline, but you could add the functional one from Laundry Day if you have it and you like to do laundry. I just personally don't like doing laundry in my games, so I tend to leave the functional one out. And there's not really a backyard space, so there's not a lot of activities in this home. There's a lot of landscaping and things inside to do, but there's not a whole lot of outside activities, unfortunately. But I wanted to keep this very hidden cottage type of vibe. I've really been in the forest, tree house, hidden cottage vibe lately. So I've been building in Windenburg and Hinford on Bagley and Glimmerbrook a lot. So those are probably going to be the speed builds that you'll see in lots like that, because those are my favorites. Those are my favorite places to build. I love building whimsical fairy style homes. Those are definitely my favorite, alongside country kind of homes. I think they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. I think I tend to lean towards those style of builds more because I love landscaping. Landscaping is probably my favorite part of any build. I have plants that are my favorites, but I try to mix it up and use different kinds of plants when I build. But I just feel like country style, whimsical style homes have more of an opportunity to landscape, and I'll landscape whenever given the opportunity. And you can't landscape an apartment, you can't landscape something that's supposed to be in the city. Really, there's not a lot of it, and so I think that's why I don't build those styles that much. But with this home, I tried to keep it just a couple of colors. I just wanted it to be that light brown and green with tiny little pops of that purple. So the purple is like the only color really in this build. And I've also been doing a lot of that lately, where I just make it very monochromatic with just one little splash of color. And I usually start it with the flowers on the outside and then try and take it inside a little bit. I also really love building tiny homes a lot. And I think that that's because with a tiny home, I can put it on a huge lot and do so much landscaping, and then I don't have to spend a bunch of time doing the interior work, which isn't my favorite. I like, placing furniture and coming up with a design concept for the inside, but I feel like I put so much of my effort into landscaping builds that by the time I get to interior work, I'm just like, we're gonna do this pretty simply. And I think also because I do play on a PlayStation and I don't play on a PC, We don't have the Sims 3 camera, and so it makes it a little hard to place things. Because I'm on console, I also don't have the ability to use mods that all the PC players use, like Better Build By and Tool. Um, so sometimes that makes things difficult. I mean, it's still doable, obviously, but sometimes things float a little bit because I can't quite see that it's not touching. I do use the trick with the high school years shelf, where if you place that right where you want the object to be placed, and then you place the object on top and you scoot it away, it'll stay at that level. So that works for most things, but there are some things that it doesn't work for, which kind of stinks. And there's also times when I'm just lazy and I'm like, it's close enough, So, but I can still do things like place plants on roofs, and I think it still comes out looking really good. You'll notice that I struggled really badly with the layout for this house. It was an interesting shape to start with. So I wasn't quite sure how to place the bedroom and bathroom. Because of that, I kind of ended up splitting up the kitchen. So one half of the kitchen ends up being on one wall, and the other half of the kitchen is on the other wall. So it's a little interesting. Like you have to walk through the galley kitchen to get into the living room. It is a tiny home, so all of the spaces in this house are very small. The kitchen is very small, the dining area is very small, the living area is very small, but I was able to fit all of those things, which is very nice. I didn't put a desk for a computer, but you can buy a laptop and sit at the dining table, and it will work as a desk that way. If you want to have your sim by a computer. The thing that I really love about this tiny home is it has a lot of natural light in it. I tried to put as many windows as possible in here because I feel like tiny homes can get really dark, and if you clutter them with a lot of lights, it just looks kind of overwhelming. So I try and put as many windows in tiny homes as possible just to make it feel a little bit bigger, a little bit more open, and not quite so shut in. I've been trying to work on cluttering a lot more in my builds. Now that I've been a part of the Twitch community and I'm active over there, I am in a competition called the Clutter Wars, and it's been super fun. Every week or a couple weeks, they give us a room, and the goal is just to clutter it, whatever clutter means to you. And the community votes, they judge on which ones they think are the best, and it's just been a really fun competition. So I've been trying to work on doing better at cluttering my builds even outside of that little competition, just because I think it makes them look more lived in, and I think it just adds that little extra layer of detail in your builds that makes them look really nice in photos and like even gameplay. Even if you want to play in this home, you can take some of the clutter out if you end up getting family photos or collectible items in the game. But I just really think that the clutter adds a lot to a build. I never thought it was worth the time, but the more I've started to clutter builds, the more of a problem it's become, and the more I can't stop. Like, I have to remember that it's a game and people play it too, so I want these builds to be functional so people can play in them. But I also just really love cluttering all the little shelves and the counters because that's the way it is in my house. Like every counter has something on it, and you kind of got to move stuff to the side, and I don't know. I love clutter, so I've definitely made that something that I've been adding a lot more to my builds lately. Even though this living room is really tiny, I tried to add as much seating as possible, and the activities that I did add were knitting and cross stitching. So that's something that you don't have to be outside for. You can also earn a lot of money by doing those two things. So I thought it would be nice to add those hobbies in there as well. Another thing I am trying to get better at is bathrooms. So I don't know why, but I really dislike building bathrooms in this game. I just think that they're really boring. In general, I try not to spend a lot of time in my own bathroom. So if it's a big house, I will copy the bathroom and place it everywhere there's supposed to be a bathroom because I just can't be bothered, I guess. But I've been trying to take my time and actually do different tiles on the floors and the walls and different mirrors and hang things and actually clutter bathrooms instead of just putting in the sink, the toilet, the shower, the mirror, the toilet paper roll, and then, walking out the door and calling it a day. So I actually tried with this bathroom to do some cluttering, and I'm really proud of it. Having said that, this bedroom is so small that I didn't really clutter a lot in this bedroom. I kind of just did the bare minimum, and I did that mostly because I wanted it to be functional still. I feel like sometimes bedrooms get really finicky for gameplay, especially when you're trying to woohoo. And so I wanted to make sure that it was still a playable bedroom, but it does still have clutter on the end tables and things on the walls. So I try to keep it a balance. I want it to still be playable, but I want it to look like it's lived in at the same time. But this was a really fun build, and I hope you guys liked it as much as I have, and thank you for watching.